preparing just to put on a regular show.
30 seconds.
There's only one reason people run like that.
People are scrambling outside the Fox 4 studio.
I felt like everything kind of went into slow motion then.
The gunshots were still going off one after another.
The minute those shots were fired,
they went to it with camera and microphone.
We heard at least 10 gunshots, if not more.
So my assignment that night was to go down to Below Garden Park and to cover, what we knew was a planned protest that night in response to the officer-involved shootings of 2 black men.
Got there early, set up, did some interviews with people beforehand, before the crowds came in and everything.
We were preparing just to put on a regular show. We'd actually commented on how well the protest was going and how boring it was.
I was going to go walk over to the rally, and I saw Luke kind of hanging. It looked like he was sort of thinking about doing something. I said, hey, I'm going to walk over to that rally. You want to come? And he said, yeah. And so we walked over there and listened to some of the speakers, and it seemed like a really nice crowd.
No indication of like, oh, we need to shoot the cops or we need to do this. It was just, people were expressing themselves.
and you saw all different kinds of people, young, old, gay, straight, African American, white, Hispanic, people in Islamic garb. Just a whole mix of what America looked like.
Down your eyes! Feel it! Even if it causes you to double over!
I actually tweeted from the rally, that smart speakers, smart words kind of thing, because I didn't really hear anything that was antagonistic at all.
Something that started way back when and goes way beyond us. Yes. But we are gonna make this city better. Who is the enemy here?
You had all these the police officers downtown covering the rally or assigned to the rally, yet you really had to look for them in order to really feel their presence, because in my opinion, they were trying to give all of these protesters, kind of a platform. They were there to peacefully gather as long as they were being peaceful. The officers were kind of staying around the perimeter and letting people, express their First Amendment rights.
Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! It was just a couple of minutes before Fox 4 News at 9 was set to begin. I was in the studio. We had our guests. We had Royce West and Craig Miller in, who are going to talk about things happening across the country, race relations and police in the community and all the tension.
I had my camera set up. We were getting ready to do our live shot for 9. And Alex and I were standing outside, and then we heard these weird popping noises.
I looked at my photographer, Shauna, who was with me, and I said, were those gunshots?
And you could see people were running for their lives. It was obvious. And I said, there's only one reason people run like that.
And then a Dallas police officer came running towards us and he told us, get in the car, get in the car. And so that's what we did initially. And I told the producer, I yelled into the microphone and said, hey, there's gunshots here. We don't know where it's coming from, so we're gonna get in the car.
Steve Eager comes running into the studio. He goes, did you see that? And we said, what? He goes, people are scrambling. This happened just blocks outside the Fox 4 studio.
We're hearing the gunshots and they're running toward it, they're running through the crowd, the opposite direction of the crowd going toward it, toward the danger, because we don't know what's happening.
Our reporter was outside and they were ducking for cover, saying shots had been fired, and we had 2 minutes before we had to go on the air. And from there, it was pure chaos.
I was driving home from my mother-in-law's funeral,
That's the high point of that day.
I told the producer, I yelled into the microphone and said, hey, there's gunshots here. You know, we don't know where it's coming from, so we're going to get in the car.
I've never heard gunshots through a reporter's microphone. I felt like everything kind of went into slow motion then.
It was just that rapid gunfire, and it just echoed through downtown, and you didn't know where it was coming from, and people were running in all sorts of directions.
Shauna, how many gunshots would you say we heard?
10.
We heard at least 10 gunshots, if not more.
The gunshots were still going off one after another, and we just didn't know where they were coming from, who they were directed toward, and it was definitely a panicking moment.
The minute those shots were fired, you had officers running toward danger. You had officers shielding people who were protesting police abuse in other cities.
Definitely the first couple minutes is when I was the most scared, and then kind of your adrenaline takes over.
To see the police in that zone and taking cover too, it's like being in a war zone.
People are running, and boom, we're starting the newscast.
The news leader, broadcasting for all North Texas. Fox 4 News starts now.
Hello, everybody. We have some breaking news to begin Fox 4 News at 9.
The newscast just started, and we opened up to our live camera in downtown Dallas, and it was just crazy pandemonium.
We saw the people running one way. First responders and our photographer are running toward the gunshots. It was a lot of that unfolding at the exact moment it's happening.
We've seen several officers with their rifles getting out of their vehicles. A lot of them, it's hard to see in the distance there, but a lot of them hunkered down behind their vehicles.
My wife came in with her phone that my assistant was warning me. She told me to turn on the TV, and turned it on to your station and saw what was happening. So I immediately called the chief. The chief had just heard as well. He said, I'll meet you down at City Hall.
When it's a crazy story, when it's a crisis, it's an emergency, it's all hands on deck. And it was all hands on deck.
I just grabbed my things, grabbed my phones, and ran out the door. After I got to the front of the building, I heard more gunfire.
I was actually at dinner and then started getting text messages from Dallas police officers. Then I get a phone call, and the guy says, man, we got 6 officers down. It hadn't been made public yet, but I knew 2 were dead. And I knew it was going to be a bad night. I immediately called into the station. While I was talking to the station, I got another call, said 3 are dead. And again, none of this was public yet. And I'm telling them that as many as 6 officers are down. And that's not what they're hearing. And I'm saying 6 officers, 3 to 6 at least, are down. One of our bosses, Matt Taylor, says, can you come in? And I was on my way.
I called the station immediately, and they were still trying to scramble to figure out what was going on. And I said, well, let me get in. I need to get in because, I mean, I'm really close to the station, and I wanted to find out what was going on.
I turned on our coverage, saw what was happening, came into the station, and they said, we're going to send you somewhere, we just don't know where yet.
I got a call from one of our managers, Derek, saying, you need to go downtown right now. And then by the time we got to Baylor, it was 3 officers dead.
We hear that there are bullets flying, shots fired, people running for cover. And I looked at Kevin Staples, my photographer, and our eyes were wide open. I said, I can't believe this. Is this really happening? We got our lights all packed up and camera all packed up, and they said, come on over to Dallas, head to Parkland Hospital if you can.
I make record time to get here. I get here about 9:24. Deanna says she's now with me, and we start hightailing it as close as we can get to El Centro.
Hey, you know what? Don't put me on camera. Just point, just so we don't lose the shot, okay?
Some police officers called out to us to get behind them. They were on San Jacinto. So Brad and I stayed low. We got behind that police car, and the police officers just told us to stay low, and that's what we did.
We get really close. I didn't realize how close until the streets finally opened up and saw where we were and where the action had taken place. And I was amazed at how close we actually did get.
As I approached downtown, I could hear the sirens wailing And then, of course, as you're approaching, you can see the lights. And based on what I had been told at that moment, I just had a feeling that it was going to be more horrific than anything we'd seen.
One of the officers said, "There's guys, get low," and I said, "Where's the shooter?" And he said, "They're everywhere."
I'm out here with the officers who are, just on the streets right now, and at this moment, they are just telling me that they believe that there are multiple shooters on the loose.
This is going to be a very horrible night before the sun rises. There are 3 to 6 officers who are as many as 6 officers, 5 officers perhaps, who are gravely wounded, according to my sources, inside the Dallas Police Department. This is not going to be a good night in the city of Dallas.
Steve and I are watching this at the exact time the viewers are seeing this. So we're trying to process it as professionals, and then we're thinking our coworkers and our friends are outside.
Oh, we got something going on here right now, guys. We got something going on right now. Take us live if you can. Take us live. Take us live.
For that to happen right in front of us, that was kind of crazy, and we were hoping nothing would happen on air.
Oh my gosh. Okay, he's on the ground. Okay.
The crowd started getting a little uneasy and started getting really rowdy. Everybody had their cell phones on. I remember seeing cell phones up in the air, and it got really tense. And we saw it kind of all unfold on live TV.
Yeah, I need to let you know that an 11th Dallas police officer was shot during an exchange of gunfire with one of the suspects. Now,
this is recent, Sean, like with
yes.
Initial contact or right now?
No,
okay.
This is now, within the last few minutes.
Okay.
This is from David Brown, Chief of Police.
I immediately knew this was a national story as well, and we needed to be all hands on deck and doing the right thing. I had told Chief Brown that we've got to have a press conference at this point because there was too much information out there in social media. Some of it was right, some of it was wrong.
Our managing editor called and said, "Where are you? There's going to be a news conference at City Hall in 10 minutes. So I started sprinting to City Hall.
Okay, we're starting the press conference at City Hall. Mayor Rawlings and Chief Brown. Let's listen.
Let's listen now.
At 8:58, our worst nightmare happened.
2 snipers, at least 2 snipers, from elevated positions as the protest rally march ended, began firing upon our officers, ambush style.
I still get a chill down my spine when I look him right in the eye and hear him say that, and I'm thinking, this can't be happening in Dallas.
It is now 3 hours into this nightmare in Dallas. Elm Street, Main Street, downtown Dallas corridor.
We were at our news vehicle again. We were picking up some things, dropping some things off, getting prepared for the next phase, whatever it would be. And Brad Kaplan, my photographer, looked across the street and said, "I think we need to go back to that 7-Eleven.
There is a gathering here outside the 7-Eleven, and just right now, right before your eyes live, police are forming a line in front of the 7-Eleven.
Police officers, U.S. Marshals, surrounding the 7-Eleven, keeping the people who were protesting and had no way to get home because of lack of public transportation. They were getting a little bit rambunctious in the parking lot.
That's the situation right now, and we'll keep following it for you. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, Deanna, we're going to be going to James Rose in the news conference. We're going to do that right now. We'll check back in with you. Here they come. There's the mayor. And we'll probably assume the chief is going to be involved again. There's Chief David Brown on the left.
The suspect that we are negotiating with, that has exchanged gunfire with us over the last 45 minutes, has told our negotiators that the end is coming. Before I came here, I asked for plans to end this standoff.
I've got a tweet from Allison Harris, who says 2 minutes ago, people who were on lockdown at El Centro College now at DPD headquarters.
Eventually I got a phone call that was saying, okay, we want you to go to Dallas Police Headquarters and just see what's happening. We watched as a bus escorted by Dallas police officers showed up with people from El Centro College. And Dallas police at the time didn't know that there was a night class in El Centro College. I guess that one of them had to use the restroom, and that's how police realized, oh my gosh, there's a night class in this building.
And now there's no other civilians in there. It's the police and a bad guy.
I got to come home from work, and I got to kiss them while they're sleeping. And those other officers didn't get to come home, and they're never going to come home to their families again.
All right, we've got breaking news in downtown Dallas. Clarice, our reporter Deanna Zoga, is across the street. She said she heard explosions.
We heard the explosion and we're thinking that is stronger than any flash bang grenade I've ever heard.
I took a screenshot of my phone so that I would have a screenshot of the exact time that I heard it.
I never thought that it would have been something like Dallas Police Department sending in a robot with a bomb. And I'm like, whoa. You talk about groundbreaking.
Our sources told us that this standoff is over, but we can anticipate that police will be here for hours longer.
The mayor and also the police chief, they just arrived here moments ago.
They were hugging police officers outside the hospital, shaking hands, very somber mood.
No question, the most poignant part of the evening was visiting the families and going to the hospital.
Today's attack in Dallas is the worst attack on law enforcement since 9/11.
The numbers absolutely bear that out. That helps you maybe perhaps understand the gravity of what has happened in downtown Dallas tonight.
It was Dallas's September 11th.
July 7th will live in infamy in Dallas, Texas. You've heard the term war on police. This tonight was that. This tonight was war on police in Dallas, Texas.
We want to go now to Allison Harris, who was at DPD headquarters. Allison.
There were two men who live across the street from Dallas Police Headquarters. They showed up and brought candles, and they were the first to start the memorial that grew to be massive outside of police headquarters.
Kind of slowly, we started noticing that these officers were lining up against a wall, probably 12 of them.
Well, here's something.
Wow.
Let's watch this Parkland. Yeah.
That is so touching. That's
Oh my.
That's Parkland where Brandon Todd is.
That is heartfelt.
They saluted all together and stood stoic, still saluting.
Yeah, well, it looks like Chief Brown has just arrived here at Parkland. I believe that's him walking up there.
You know, we were, of course, carrying this live as they were standing there saluting and as the bodies were being loaded up. But the most impressive part to me was that Chief Brown showed up again, but this time without all of the entourage, without the caravan, without everyone else that he was with the first time. He walked to over on the opposite side there of where those vans were parked and stood there with his command staff and saluted. You know, he was there, you know, just sort of to form solidarity.
Today feels like a different day than the days before this tragedy. Because you're here. Because Dallas is a city that loves.
At 8:58 p.m., 5 days ago, the soul of our city was pierced when police officers were ambushed in a cowardly attack. In the days that followed, we have searched a massive crime scene. We've sobbed and paid tribute at a growing memorial at the police headquarters. We prayed together at Thanksgiving Square. We lit candles to honor the lives of our 5 heroes.
There's no book, there's no script for how you handle this.
It was 7 hours of new discoveries, right? And knowing that something else was available to be found out the whole time.
We had crews in the field who potentially could have been in danger.
When the bullets started firing, they went to it with camera and microphone. No vest, no weapon to return fire, but with the camera and microphone to record the truth of the moment. And I'm proud to know him.
When I walked in my house and I saw my 2 sleeping daughters, I knew that I had had an emotional, exhausting day at work, but I got to come home from work and I got to kiss them while they're sleeping. And those other officers didn't get to come home, and they're never going to come home to their families again. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a member of this community. North Texas belongs to all of us, and we want to be Dallas strong.
I think what we have seen has been natural. It has been raw and real every step of the way. The outpouring from this community, rallying around the families of those officers and the police department. Now, I hope that we can give birth to understanding. I hope that we can give birth to understanding what both sides are feeling.
That these 5 men gave their lives for all of us.
Our hearts have been broken. We refuse to hate each other. We must have hope and believe that tomorrow will be better, and it will.
Yeah, it will.